Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Well, it is 1:51 a.m. and I just left Tanya Jean's house. We just finished watching the Academy Awards, and well, she started The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I watched like 10 minutes of it, and then I left. So, it has been a long day. But like a relaxing long day. So let's see, I got up today, and, well, last night when I got done vlogging, I finished, I don't know if I had finished it before or after, I can't remember, before vlogging or after vlogging. I finished that Proof of Heaven book. I think I finished it afterwards last night. And, okay, so I have to say I was not real impressed with the book. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I didn't feel real convinced of anything when I finished it. I felt like 80% of the book, and I said this yesterday, but I still feel the same way. I felt like 80% of the book was his experience of being sick in the hospital. And it was interesting to a certain point, but that wasn't like what I wanted to read the book about. And then I would say a very small part was about his experience, his near-death experience. And it was extremely vague. And I thought it was going to be more specific. Or at least that's what I was hoping for. So I ended up giving it 3 stars. It wasn't horrible. I think, honestly, I think a lot of people would probably like it. It is a lot at the end about, and there's a whole afterword that's like new to the book. So like the book, it said it was like 6.5 hours or something, 6 hours and 24 minutes, I think. But like the last hour is like a new afterword, so I skimmed through that. But a lot of the book at the end is about like believing in science and believing in spirituality at the same time, and how you can believe in both. That part was interesting, kind of. I just was really more interested in wanting to hear about the near-death experience, and it was just a really small part of the book. So I finished that, and then I started Mindhunter, which is really good, right out of the gate. It's really good, and that's the February True Crime Book Club. So then I came home, and I tried to go to sleep, and I couldn't sleep. And so I got up and I went downstairs, and I had bought like some some hummus, and this like sriracha cheese dip stuff, because they don't have my corn dip anymore that I like. And, but it's not real spicy or anything. So, and these toasted sour cream and onion chips that I like, Ritz crackers, toasted, I think they are, or something like that. So I sat downstairs and I ate those, and I was watching The Pharmacist. Okay, let me just tell you that documentary is crazy town. It is so good, and I'm only like 2/3 through the second episode, or halfway through the second episode. I finished the first episode, and then I watched like half of the second episode. It is so good. Like binge-worthy, like absolutely binge-worthy. I just haven't had the time to watch it, because by the time that I was done, I laid in bed trying to sleep for a while, and I couldn't. So that's when I got up and went downstairs. So by the time that I looked at the clock, and it was like almost 7:30. It was like actually after 7:30, it was like 7:36, and I was like, I have got to go and get some sleep. And I still couldn't sleep. My schedule is so screwed up. And, but I slept, and then I got up, and Alex was like, you're gonna be really excited when you look outside. And I looked outside, and we had gotten a ton of snow, which is now all since melted, because it like warmed up, and it just rained all day long. But it was pretty when I woke up. And so we went to brunch, and we had a good brunch, and then we came back, and he wanted to watch shows all day. And I had the True Crime Book Club at 4 o'clock. So did the book club at 4 o'clock, and did the book If You Tell by Greg Olson. It was a fantastic book club today. It was so good. Misha and Taylor and Lauren all like guested and came in, and it just was, it was phenomenal. It just was a really, really good book club. And we decided that we were going to read Butcher Baker, about a serial killer in Alaska. So that's our March book. There's 2 of them that are called that. So it's the one that came out in 1991 if you're wanting to read it with us. I think it's like 300 pages, 350 pages or something like that. It's not too long. So we had the book club, and then I was like tired from my crazy sleep schedule. So I went upstairs and Alex was like half asleep and he was watching, I can't remember what he was watching. He wasn't watching Schitt's Creek, but he did watch that later. I had a hat on earlier, you guys, and I took it off, so it's back here. I'm not gonna put it on because my head is like sometimes when I wear a hat all day long, my head kind of like starts hurting like around here. So not like a headache, but it's just like, you know, like when you have sunglasses on and they kind of like are pressuring your head. So when Tanya and I went to go get a fountain pop earlier, I took it off. So I laid down. I had talked to Tanya earlier about if we were gonna watch the Academy Awards or not, and our sponsor had asked us to like come over there and watch them. But Tanya had to go and do a bunch of stuff at the kennel and let the dogs out, and she didn't even know like if she wanted to watch them tonight, and it was her birthday, and she had done stuff with her husband and stuff for her birthday. So she didn't know if she wanted to watch them today or not. So happy birthday to Tanya, by the way. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna lay down for a little bit and then I'll text you. And so I got up, I laid down until about, like I started at like 8:30. And I texted her and she said, well, we were going to the kennel, so maybe later, but I don't, she was like, maybe like 10 or 10:30. Let me text you when I get back from the kennel because I still don't know. And I was like, okay. So I went downstairs and I started watching the Academy Awards, but I had forgotten to tape them because I was going to watch them all at Tanya's house because she said that she was going to tape them, which she did. But anyway, so I just started watching them like a half an hour in. And so then Alex and I, like at brunch today, we started talking and he said something about like when we're leaving, and he was to go to Dallas, and he was like, well, I'm gonna do some work stuff that day. And I go, well, we leave in that morning, babe. And he was like, no, we don't. He was like, you booked the flights for that evening. And I never book flights for the evening. I always book flights for the morning. And the whole reason, like, why I had booked it, like, when and how we did, was because we wanted to have extra time in Dallas. And I was like, no, that doesn't make any sense, because we don't even get into Dallas now until like 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense, because then we would go straight to the hotel and go to bed. Like, that, it doesn't make any sense. And so he was like, well, he was like looking it up on his phone, and he was like, I'm here it is. He was like, you can, you know, and I was like, oh. And I was like, well, I wonder if I can get it changed. So I was gonna see what it would cost. And I always buy that trip protection so you can cancel or change your flights, you know, and stuff. Waste of money, I found out tonight. So anyway, I called and tried to change these flights because our friends that are flying out there, they're leaving earlier in the day. So we could have left at 10 and been out there by 12. It's a short flight. It's like 2 hours from Indianapolis. And then would have had the whole day. But to like change the flight, first of all, we were gonna get charged $200 per person to just make the change. And I was like, okay, I don't understand this, because I bought like trip, you know, protection and whatever, and it says you can change it up to 2 hours before. Well, not with this situation. Well, why not with this situation? Well, I don't know, but not with this situation. And I'm like, well, you're gonna have to give me a better excuse than that. Like, I mean, I paid you for trip protection, and if I can't use it, then what am I purchasing it for? And so it was like, it's the trip protection, and I always get the best one, so that if you have to, you know, cancel the flight. I mean, there's very rare occasions that I don't get it. And it would be something like, I can't even think of an example, but with any trip that we planned going into 2020, which we had booked, because of how sick Pee-Pee was, I got the best trip protection because I didn't know what we would be dealing with going into any trip. So we, you know, might have to cancel the trip at the last minute. So I'm like arguing with this guy on the phone, and I'm like, but I'm being real nice about the whole situation. And I'm like, hey, listen, like, I just want to know, like, how much did I pay for trip protection? And I paid something ridiculous, like, I don't know, but it was like $135 or something. And I was like, is this like per person or, and he was like, I don't know. He couldn't tell me anything. And I was like, well, is there somebody that I could talk to that could give me like the answers that I'm looking for? He was like, no, I can find the answers for you. And I was like, you can find out if I can use this vacation thing to cancel my flight or change my flight. Because all I wanted to do was change the flight there. Like, that was all I wanted to do. And I wanted to see, like, I knew that I was probably going to have to pay, like, the difference between, like, whatever we originally paid and whatever they cost now. That's what I wanted to find out. I wanted to find out what the difference was going to be. But if whatever that difference was going to be, if I also then had to pay $200 per person on top of it, like, I wasn't going to do that. That's a waste of money. You know what I mean? So he was like, no, he was like, you can't use it. He just kept on going on and on and on. So finally he's like, let me go check. So he puts me on hold for 24 minutes, you guys, okay? I was so livid at this point. Well, like 10 minutes into it, Tanya texted me and she said, I'm home now. If you want to come over, we can, you know, go get a fountain pop and we can watch Academy Awards. So I'm like texting her and I'm like, well, hey, I'm like on hold, you know, like waiting to talk to this guy about my flight. So let me get back to you. I'll let you know when I'm done. So he comes back and he's like, yeah, you can't use it. And I'm like, okay, so it took you all that time to find out that I couldn't use the vacation waiver? And I was like, okay, so fine. So let's say if I have to pay $200, whatever. Can you go and tell me what the difference is between the original fare and the new fare? Because there was also a chance that, like, if I changed it, because when I looked it up, the flight that we're taking was more expensive, like, by a lot than the flight we wanted to change it to. So there was a chance that, like, we might make money off of it, if that makes sense. So, like, let's say if the difference was the same and we have to just pay $200 a person, I would have paid that. If the change was, let's say, $50 less and I was gonna get $50 back, then I would pay the $200 difference. But I didn't want to pay the $200 difference on top of this fare change if it was gonna be outrageous, you know? So he puts me on hold again and he comes back and he goes, oh, at that point I started getting a little heated. And I was like, look, if you can't tell me the answer to this, then can somebody else explain to me why I can't use this? Because I purchased this vacation thing. And I'm like, while I was sitting there on hold, I had gone in and I had read, like, all the conditions of it, and there was no reason. It said even, you know, that, like, I wouldn't get charged any extra fees for changing or canceling at the last minute. I mean, that was the reason that I had it, right? And now I'm also a little heated because every time I ever, you know, do this, book a flight, I always get trip protection. So I'm like, so for the last 5 years, have I wasted money on trip protection that is just a waste? I should never have gotten it to begin with. So I'm like, let me talk to somebody else that, because he said he talked to, like, his supervisor. And I said, well, can I talk to your supervisor? No, you can't talk to my supervisor. I said, why can't I talk to your supervisor? If she can explain it to me. He's like, well, she's busy right now. And I go, okay, well, can you explain to me why I can't use it? Well, because this is a different condition. How is this condition different? It's different. Well, how? It just is. I go, I'm gonna need to talk to somebody. Well, no, I said, I'm gonna need to talk to somebody. I said, I'm gonna need to talk to somebody else that can explain this to me. So finally, he's like, please hold, and he puts me on hold again. This is now like my 3rd time that I've been on hold. And I know customer service jobs are difficult, so I try to be real nice about it, you know, but, like, I am so done at this point. I've been on this phone call now for, like, I think total I was on the phone for an hour dealing with this. So finally he comes back and he was like, okay, she can talk to you. And he was like, I'm really sorry that I couldn't help you, you know, and I'm like, that's fine, thank you. And he was like, I know that you're frustrated, and I'm like, that's fine. And he just keeps on going on and going on and going on about, and I'm like, finally I go, dude, just transfer me. Like, just transfer me. Like, so I'm like, so she gets on the phone and she's like, hi, how are you? Are you having a good day? I go, no, not actually, I'm not. I'm rather frustrated. I'm trying to watch the Academy Awards with my friend, and I said, and I'm sitting here on the phone getting put on hold for 10 and 20 minutes at a time, and I'm trying to just find out what the difference is between the two fairs. And so she like pulls it all up, and I have to go through the entire thing with her again. She's real nice. They were both real nice. But anyway, she's like, well, what's your question? And I said, he said that I couldn't use the waiver. And she said, you can use the waiver. And she said, what will have to happen is that you'll have to like make the change, then they'll charge you the $200, then they'll reimburse you the $200. And I'm like, okay, whatever. That makes no sense to me, but that's fine. Like, I get what you're saying, right? Like, the waiver goes into effect after you've made the change, so then they would reimburse you the money. I was like, that's totally fine. I said, but what I would like to know is, what's the difference in fare? Like, she goes, between what fares? And I'm like, I literally explained this like 3 times to her. I was like, if I switch the flight from the time that we originally took it, which I'm like telling her the times and the flight number, and I'm like, to this flight, she goes, there are 7 flights leaving that are direct. And I go, yes, but this is the specific flight that we want to change it to. Which flight? I'm like literally ready to pull my hair out, okay? So finally she like looks it up. She goes, okay, it's gonna take a few minutes, so can you hold so that I can, you know, tell you the difference in the fares? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Well, sometime between when she got on the phone, sometime between when he transferred me, whatever, I like went upstairs and I like threw on my jeans and I like told Alex I was leaving, and I'm like telling him the story because I've been on hold. I'm on hold for so long, right? And he's like, you know, don't get frustrated, babe. He's like, we'll figure it out. And he's like, you know, if we can't leave, we'll just leave later in the night. I said, yeah, because if it's a lot of money, I'm not gonna wait. I'm not gonna just throw away a bunch of money just so that we can leave, you know, 8 hours earlier or something. That's stupid, right? So he's like, oh, no, I totally agree. And he was like, that's stupid, like, for us to pay a bunch of money. He was like, I even think it's stupid for us to pay $200 extra. And I go, well, I kind of agree, but it'd be nice to have a whole day in Dallas. You know what I mean? Like, we already are there on limited amount of time. So, I mean, we're there really short period of time now. So, I'm on my way there to Tanya's, and the woman comes on the phone, and she's like, okay, so I have the difference for you. And I'm like, well, what is it? And she's like, it's like 1,038 or something. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, now 200 of that. And I'm like, so it's $600 or $800 for the fare difference? And she's like, 600. But the 200 extra is the money that you would get back. But she didn't sound sure about it. So I'm like, okay, so all I would pay for the fare difference is like $638. Like, that's what we would pay. Like, I go, now is that per person or is that total? And she said, no, that's total. I said, well, okay, I appreciate you looking into it. I said, but I'm not interested in doing that. I mean, $638 is a lot of money, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm not interested in doing that, but I really appreciate you looking into it. Because you don't want to make the change now? And I said, no, I don't want to make the change. I said, all I needed somebody to do, in all honesty, was tell me if I could use my vacation voucher and tell me what the difference in fare would be. There was no reason why this phone call needed to be an hour. And I really don't understand to this moment why it was an hour. And she's like, well, I'm really sorry that it took so long, but blah, 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 we have to just tell me all this stuff. I'm like, okay, thank you very much. Is there anything else I can help you with? And she's like, no. And then she says to me, I'm like literally getting ready to get off the phone. And she goes, don't forget, if you want to change or cancel your plans, you have until 2 hours before. And I go, with my vacation waiver, right? And she goes, right. And I go, but you just told me that I couldn't use it, but that you were making a specific situation. And I go, is there any point for me to even get this in the future? And she was like, yeah, because if you need to cancel your trip, you won't get charged the full price. I said, I'll just get charged the $200, correct, for canceling it? She goes, correct. I go, although it says in your waiver, and I'm like back having this conversation again, right? Because I'm like, we're going to Miami, and we're going to, what do you call it? Las Vegas, and I've now purchased this waiver for both. Like, is this pointless? Should I go in there and get rid of the waiver? I mean, like, this is stupid, right? And she can't really give me an answer, and I'm just like, okay, well, I appreciate you helping me. And she's like, no problem, have a good evening. I was like, you too. An hour on the phone. I was so worn out by the time that I got over to Tanya's house. So Tanya and I went, and we got, so we're not changing our flight, so we get into Dallas like really late, and which is whatever, but we're just there for such a short period of time now. It's like, kind of seems like a waste, you know. I mean, we're going there for a wedding, so it's whatever. All of our friends are literally flying in there for the wedding and flying out the next day, so we're like the only ones that are staying an extra day. But so I got to Tanya's, and then she and I went and got Fountain Pops, which is so good. I got a Diet Pepsi tonight. Tastes delicious. And then we came back and we watched the Academy Awards. Oh, I love the Academy Awards. They seem so different, though. They don't seem as... I don't know. They don't seem as exciting as they used to be, you know, or as... By the way, this is the only battery that I have, so when this battery starts dying, I'm going to have to get off here, but I don't know how long I'm going to vlog anyway. Because I've got a hair appointment and a massage tomorrow, so I can't be, like, staying up super late. And I want to watch a little bit of The Pharmacist. I want to finish the second episode. Somebody told me that the third episode is, like, really good, so I'm kind of ready to get into that. I don't know what it is about the Academy Awards. They just don't seem to have the magic that they used to have. Maybe it's that, you know, when I was a kid, I looked at them differently. Maybe it's that I hadn't seen any of the movies. I will tell you this, what was interesting, it didn't happen at Tanya's house as much. In the in memoriam part, I cried, but like, when I was at home, literally every award, and it didn't even matter if it was like for production design or sound editing or whatever, like, I cried over every award. I don't know what was going on with me. I just was like real emotional. Costume design, I started crying because thinking of my mom wanting to be a costume designer. So I don't know what that was about, but Billie Eilish, I love her, and I'm a huge Billie Eilish fan, and she sang that Beatles song, why can't I think of what it is, Yesterday. Fantastic job. She was incredible. And Tanya stopped the Academy Awards about 1,500 times, telling me little facts and secrets about everybody that she reads all these articles about. Charlize Theron looked gorgeous. I want to see that movie Bombshell. Joaquin Phoenix, damn, he looks good, doesn't he? He looks so sexy. But Tanya and I got talking about him because, you know, like, back in the day, I was a huge River Phoenix fan. I think River Phoenix might have been my first celebrity crush. Like, when he and I are about the same, I think he was actually like a year or two older than me. And I can remember, like, having like a crush on him in high school and knowing, like, I think that he was probably one of the first reasons I ever knew that I was gay, was probably because of River Phoenix. And he and I had very similar haircuts in high school. And when Alex and I went to Los Angeles for the first time last January, we stayed at a hotel that literally, like, you walked out of the hotel and you walked up the block and it was the Viper Lounge, or the Viper Room, or whatever it's called, where River Phoenix died. And it's gonna stop, hold on. Okay, I think it was Joaquin Phoenix that found his brother. He was with his brother when his brother died. I remember that, like, it was, like, it seems like it was just not too long ago, not yesterday, but it seems like it wasn't too long ago. And at the end of his speech, which was extremely, you know, environmental, and personally, I have to just say, okay, I do not love some of these speeches. I don't know why, but some of them just get a little, they can get a little preachy. His was definitely that for me. Renee Zellweger, I don't love Renee Zellweger. Tanya told me that Judy was fantastic and she was really good in it, so I was excited that she won. But I actually really liked her speech. Tanya thought she went on and on a little bit too much. But she kind of did the same thing, but in a different way. She talked about inclusivity and things like that, which I really liked. And she talked about like, when we look up to people, we're all united by our heroes. I thought that was kind of a really interesting statement. I really liked that idea, you know, that if you like somebody and I like somebody, like, we're united on that. Like, we don't see a lot of difference when we talk about that, or, you know, how we look up to people. But, you know, back in the day, I feel like we had a lot of Hollywood royalty. It doesn't feel that way anymore to me, you know? It doesn't feel like we have tons and tons of Hollywood royalty anymore. I did cry for Parasite winning. I mean, it won 4 awards. The guy was so excited. Like, he couldn't believe it, you know? And it was just really, really cool to see. I don't know anything about that movie. I've heard it's fantastic. But it was really exciting to see that movie win, you know, so many awards, and for them to get so excited about it. That was cute. Tawny kept on going, what is it even about? What is it even about? Tanya watches so many movies, though. Like, she had seen almost all of the movies. She hadn't seen Joker, because we were talking about it. She's like, I don't know if I want to see it. I heard it's, like, really, really hard to watch. She was telling me that Joaquin Phoenix had, like, a therapist that was with him at all times while he filmed that movie. Who else? Bradley Cooper was there. He looked great. Antonio Banderas was there. Margot Robbie. She's so sexy, I think. Kathy Bates looked fantastic. I love her. Oh my God, Jane Fonda came out at the end. She looks so good. Oh, Laura Dern won for Best Actress, or Best Supporting Actress. And I loved Laura Dern back in the day. I loved her in the movie Ramblin' Rose. And one of my favorite movies of life is the David Lynch movie, Wild at Heart. And she played Lula in it? Lola? Anyway, with Nicolas Cage. It was such a great movie. And her mom, Diane Ladd, was in that movie too. And she said this really cool thing. Her mom was with her. Her mom was like bawling her eyes out. And she said, you know, they say that you should never meet your hero. Something like, you should never meet your heroes, because once you meet your heroes, you can like never surpass that. And she goes, but I disagree, because I was born to, you know, my heroes. Talking about her mom and dad that were both actors. And so that was really cool. I really like Laura Dern. I really want to watch that movie, Marriage Story. Is that what it's called? It's on Netflix. So yeah, that was fun. Tanya made a cheese plate. She made cheese and she put summer sausage on there for herself. She on her half of it. She made sure it didn't touch mine. She had like one of those trays that has the little sections, you know. And then she got olives, and she took chocolate, or she took strawberries and dipped them in chocolate frosting for us. And what else did she have on there? Cheese. She made it real nice for us. And Alex hates awards. Well, he doesn't hate award shows, but he doesn't like the Academy Awards. So he texted me. He was real excited, finally, that... I think he felt really bad for me that Tanya didn't know what she wanted to do. I knew she'd kind of come around at the end and say she wanted to watch them. But he came downstairs when I was, like, watching the Academy Awards, and he was like, did Tanya not want to watch them? And I was like, well, she doesn't really know what she wants to do right now, and she's worked all day, and she's kind of tired. And he was like, well, I'm sorry, babe. He was like, do you want me to watch them with you? I was like, no, you don't have to watch them. I know you don't like them. So he was excited that she wanted to watch them, and he was texting us and telling me to tell her happy birthday, and then he was sending me pictures of Boo and Tucker underneath their comfort blankets. Okay, Tucker is obsessed with these comfort blankets that Jennifer sent. Jennifer said I could share her story. So I think... I don't know, it's kind of a private story. I don't know. She watched the vlog and then she emailed me and she said, feel free to share my story. I think she said just don't share my name or where I'm at. But Tucker, first thing he does when he gets on the bed is he goes right to his comfort blankets, and he knows which one is his and he knows which one is Boo's. Boo's is the brighter color of the two. And so he takes his and he spreads it all out, and then he lays on it. At night, like when we go to bed, he lays on one and then he goes like this to Booze, because Boo usually gets underneath the comforter between Alex and I, like by our heads. Like, he like kind of goes half underneath the comforter. So Tucker goes like this, and then I have to lay Boo's comfort blanket over him. And that's how Tucker sleeps. Is that not so cute? I'll show you in a second, because Alex sent me a picture. I was sitting there the other day and I thought, this is so nice that somebody out of the kindness of their heart made this, you know, and like, and Tucker just loves it. I mean, he absolutely loves it. And, you know, I think I know it may sound strange to somebody. They're like, oh, well, that was really nice that somebody made a blanket, but what's such a big deal? Tucker, I think, was really struggling sleeping at night. And now that he has his comfort blanket, like, he started playing with toys again, and we've been putting his hippo up there, Henry the hippo, and he's started playing, and he gets excited again at night, you know? And it really is weird, because it really was around the blankets. So I don't know, they help. I have like a piece of popcorn or something at the top of my tooth. It's driving me crazy. It has rained literally all day today. Jennifer, if I read your email, I may edit it a little bit so that nobody can figure out. I know you don't care because you would have said something, but okay, first of all, let me show you. Turn this off. He texted me and he said, I can't really with how sweet he is. So this is Tucker. Can you see? There he is. He's got his comfort blanket all around him. Well, that's actually Boo's. The other one is Tucker's, and Tucker's sleeps on the other one. So, there's a story to the blankets, okay? And the story is fantastic. Let me see if I can find it. Oh my God, where is it? It's been a while since it might be in my other one. I think it's in my other one. Here it is. She said, you may share, Peter. And then she said what she didn't want me to share. Where is it? Her original email. I have so many emails, you guys. I wonder if she sent it to a different email, because I can't find. Oh, wait. You know, this is really personal. I actually think I'm just going to keep it to myself, Jennifer. Unless you really want me to share it, because it's a personal story. So unless you really, it's related to it's part of her 12-step program, she feels like, and how she gives back. So if you decide that you want me to read it, like you really want me to read it, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just keep it between you and I, because I think it's a personal story. But if you want me to read it, I'm more than willing to read it. Just know that it is whenever there's like a story or a connection to somebody that's also in a 12-step program, that's always like, for me, like an elevated spiritual meaning to it. I know that sounds strange, but I can't tell you how many people, like, in my life since I've been sober, that like something will happen and like some like strange door or gift is opened or is given, and I find that the connection is like, we don't even know each other, or that we're both sober, and then they're like, I guess I was waiting for Jennifer to respond, but she's gonna have to watch the vlog first, right? You know, and then I find out that they're sober too, and I'm like, this is so strange, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost kind of like, it's kismet. So, yeah. I received the nicest letter the other day from this woman. She knows who she is, and I'm not going to say her name, but let's just say that there is one of us out there that is still suffering, alcoholic. Let's pray for her tonight. She asked for our prayers. She asked for my prayers, and I've been praying for her. And she watches my videos, and she wrote me and you know what? I got it the day that I was giving my lead. The day I was giving my lead, or the day before. And it like really spoke to me that day. She was sharing about how she had recently relapsed, but that she knew she could get back on track, and she was really believing in herself and all this kind of stuff. And it just was like a really empowering letter. And I think that's, you know, like one of the things that we have to always remember is that we can get back up on top. You know, we can pull ourselves back up. And I think even when we believe that we're not strong, we can be, you know. So yeah, I am reading Mindhunter now. And I'm happy that it's good, because I don't know that I could have dealt with it if it wasn't. I hope it. Mel said that it gets really good. And today in the live stream, people were saying that it gets really good. I think Taylor said that it gets really good, and she had finished it already, and other people were. Taylor and Mel have become really good friends. I'm like really happy that, and Misha always guests in our live streams. I'm like so happy that people are being really active and in the live stream, and there's so many people, Mrs. June and Danette, and well, Danielle used to guest, but she doesn't come in there and guest. She came in there today. She said hi. So Danielle, I hope you're well. And there's so many people that like read the book. Megan reads the books. It's so nice, you know, and it's kind of a weird dream come true. We really, really need a name for the book club. So if anybody has any suggestions, and it can't have anything to do with my name or anything about me, because Mel is just as much a part of it as I am. So it has to be, you know, like something kind of ambiguous, but it has to be about crime. We really wanted to use the name Crimeaholics, but it's a podcast, so we can't do that. So I don't know what we're gonna do. I'm like in my head thinking right now, can you tell? I'm usually pretty good with stuff like that, but I want something to be really like cutesy, but kind of like scary, but kind of like, you know. So here's the thing, and I haven't talked about this on here, but I talked about it in the book club today, so I'll talk about it in here. Is that at some point, Mel and I have decided that we are going to start a true crime podcast. But we really want to think it through and do it really well thought out. So whatever title we give the book club will be the title of the podcast. So for that reason, we have to think of something that's kind of unique. And anything that you can think of out there that has the word crime in it has probably been taken. Because there's so many true crime podcasts. But we have some ideas of how to do it different. So we have something that we're going to do, maybe like some different things that we've thought about, thrown around. And that's the other thing, is that we don't really want to start it unless we can, like, because we would probably go in and pre-record like 2 at a time. So we want to make sure that we have the time to dedicate to it, because I'm really busy, she's really busy, you know, she started a new job, and I have 5 channels and do all this crazy stuff. So probably this summer sometime. My plan is that I want to go out and visit her, and then we're going to take like a couple days to just focus on preparing the, like, planning the podcast and how we're going to do it and all that stuff, because she and I, neither one of us know anything about editing, recording, or anything a podcast. But it's actually something that we've been thinking about for a while now. We've been thinking about it for like, I don't know. You know, I feel so blessed that I live in this world where I have the ability. I know it seems like a lot of ideas to people, and people are like, oh my God, Peter's doing this, and he's thinking about doing this cooking channel, and he's writing a book, and all this kind of stuff. I feel really blessed that I have the ability to have, like, really actualize my creative outlets, and that, you know, if I want to write a book, I write a book, and if I want to do a podcast, I do a podcast, and if I want to do another YouTube channel, I do another YouTube channel, and if I want to make this video, I make that video, and that video, and that video, you know, because, like, Caroline and I talked about doing the documentary about our grandma. We haven't talked about that since, but I mean, that's something we were both really serious about when we were talking about it. I, at some point, really do want to film a documentary. Like, that is something I really, really want to do. But I don't know anything about how to do that, so. Sometime in my life, I'll do that. You know, I was watching the Academy Awards tonight. It was interesting, and I was thinking to myself, I was watching the part where, like, I've always wanted to win, like, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, or, like, Best Adapted Book. So, like, my book would be adapted into, like, a screenplay for a movie, right? And, I was, like, thinking to myself tonight, I was like, you're 47. The chance of you writing a book that will ever get turned into a movie is probably never going to happen, right? And then I was thinking about, like, all of these books that are written, and literally, like, the next year, they're turned into movies. Like, that's crap. I have, you know, if I live to be 80, hopefully, I mean, I have a lot of time on this earth still, you know, I mean, Jane Fonda is, like, getting up there, you know? I have a lot of time on this earth to still make my dreams come true, you know what I mean? Valerie just texted me. I don't know what she texted me. I think she said hi. But I have a lot of time to still make my dreams come true. And, you know, I'm a big believer, like Oprah says, there's this huge, my mother used to go through there's this huge area of water here and right there, this 4-way stop. This house right here used to always, like, scare me. It reminded me of the house in Boys Don't Cry. I don't know why, where Brandon Tina was killed. But have you ever seen that movie, Boys Don't Cry? So good. But my mom used to go through those things, and she would say, going through a lake, we're driving through a lake. I'm surprised she didn't flood her car. You know, I'm such a big believer, like, in the Oprah saying that, like, once you dream your, like, okay, dream a big dream, and then once you dream a big dream, dream a bigger dream. You know, I'm, like, such a big believer in that. Like, don't ever stop dreaming, you know, and continue to dream bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, or keep on dreaming this way or that way or whatever, but keep dreaming, you know. I think when we get to the point in our lives where we think, I think for many of us, as we get older, especially, like, I see this with my friends, that then their kids are in college, and they think, well, it's their kids' time now, their time is over, and that's crap, you know? And I think that, you know, I think about, like, Grandma Moses, wasn't that the artist that, like, started painting, like, in her 80s or something like that? You know, I think about there are so many people out there that are doing big things and they're older, you know, and a lot of people that got started when they were older. You can never stop thinking that you can make your dreams come true. But I also think, you know, it's not always about, I mean, I think like we can be corny and we can say, well, it's the journey, not the destination, or the journey is the destination, but it's true too. You know, it's like, so what if your dream is to, you know, be an actress and win an Academy Award, right? Okay. So on the way, let's say you start auditioning for local community theater, just local, you know, whatever. And maybe like the first time you get like a chorus position, or you're just gonna be, you know, part of the troupe or whatever. And then the next time you actually get like a speaking role. And so all of a sudden you become part of these people and you make a best friend that's in, you know, your theater group or troupe or whatever you call it. And, you know, like let's say, I don't know, like you just, like, let's say you let's say you're doing the play, I'm trying to think of some random play, but all that's coming to my mind is Norma Rae, because I kept on showing this picture for Norma Rae with like this music tonight. Did you guys see the part where they talked about music and movies changing, like to get, like working together? Okay, but like that's a good example. So like let's say if you're doing like Breakfast at Tiffany's, right? This Truman Capote wrote it. And so you're doing like the play, Breakfast at Tiffany's, which I don't even know if there's ever been a play of the movie, but, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna start, you know, reading all of Truman Capote's books, because I've never read his books before this. I didn't even know that he wrote Breakfast at Tiffany's. So then you read his books, and you read, you know, In Cold Blood, and then all of a sudden you, like, fall down the rabbit hole of, like, true crime stuff, and then you start listening to it, and, you know, you go to, like, become obsessed with My Favorite Murder, and then you and your friends start listening to My Favorite Murder, and you go and listen to, you go all over the country and see live shows, you know what I mean? Oh, it's gonna stop, hold on. Okay. You know, and then, you know, let's say you meet some guy while you're like doing this theater thing that just happens to be in the audience because he's writing an article from the local paper, you know, and it's just like, you know, where your life is supposed to end up might not be at the Academy Awards. Maybe your life is supposed to be filled with community theater and these people that you meet and true crime, and that's great, you know, like I have so much fun with my friends in recovery. I mean, we just going out to dinner twice this week. We had so much fun, you know, like Tanya and I were talking about that tonight. It's like, I miss those days. It was just like hanging out and it was easy, you know, and it's like, that's just from going to meetings that I have friends like that, you know, and then like traveling with my husband. I mean, I love my life. I have such an incredible life, you know, and I'm not winning Academy Awards, but I wouldn't change my life in. But I also wouldn't stop dreaming for that Academy Award, you know? Or that maybe someday somebody will see, you know, one of my videos and be like, oh, I think we'd like to put him in a TV show. Let's, you know, maybe he'd be a funny character in this TV show. And then, you know what I mean? Like, look at Amy and Tammy Slayton. They just, if you guys know who they are, they're YouTubers. They just got their, you know, own reality show on TLC. And, Christina Randall, you know, who started a YouTube channel like a year and a half ago, like a prison channel, she's on that show, The Spy Games, on Bravo right now, you know, and her channel's just like blowing up. And, you know, I've known booktubers that have gotten publishing contracts because of their booktube channels and been very successful. You know, I know booktubers that have started publishing companies. I know booktubers that have gotten jobs at publishing companies, you know, because of their booktube channels. And, I don't know, you know, I think as much as half the opportunities that I have offered to me since I started my YouTube channel, I never in a million years would have ever guessed would have started when I started on May 11, 2016 consistently posting videos on my booktube channel. When I made the decision that I was going to consistently start posting, because I had made some videos before that were stupid, but I decided that I was going to consistently start posting on booktube channel. Like, since then, and all the channels I started, I never knew in a million years that I would have some of the opportunities I've had, you know, or meet some of the people that I've met, you know. Mel, one of my dearest friends ever, you know, I mean, I think it's really about just continuing to put one foot in front of the other and pursue those dreams and those passions, and get up every day and make sure that what you're doing you're passionate about, you know? Where did I watched that, like, in something. I was watching something they were talking about. I think I was listening to a 12-step lead, and they were saying that it's about getting up every day and not being like, oh God, I hate my job, I don't want to go to work. I mean, many of us have to go to jobs that we don't necessarily love, but we have to pay the bills, right? Like, that's a reality for a lot of people. But can you find something that you love at your job that will get you more excited to get there, you know? And I think that's a big thing. I can't believe how much standing water there is. But I think it's important to reevaluate on a regular basis, like, what are my dreams? Like, what do I want to do? Like, what are things that okay, one of the reasons why I pushed myself so hard to write the book, no matter what happened with it, no matter if I sold one, or, if anybody read it, if anybody liked it, whatever, one of the reasons why I did it was because, for me, it was like this huge bucket list thing for me to have written a book, to hold my book in my hand and say, this is my book. And I have to say, like, I can remember, you know, Pee-Pee would sit downstairs with me on the little ottoman every day, like every night when I wrote, because, like, you know, Alex and I would hang out, go out to dinner or whatever, and then this is before I had my, you know, videos and vlogs and stuff, so all I was doing was writing, you know, and working and stuff. And I would take a nap, and, you know, then we would watch, like, a movie or something, or go out to eat, and then from, like, 9 to 3, I would write, like, every night, and Pee-Pee would sit right there, or no, it would have been, like, 11 to 3, something like that. I would write every night. And I remember when I would take Pee-Pee outside, because it was during the month of April, and I would take Pee-Pee outside, you know, like, to take breaks and whatever. And I remember when I finished that book, and I actually I wrote the end I wrote the end first. So when I got to the end, I knew I was at the end, because I, like, edited and changed the end. The ending is not how I originally wrote it, but I knew that I was at the end. And I felt like, it just felt so weird. And I can remember I took Pee-Pee outside, and I, like, looked at him and I said, I wrote a book, Pee-Pee. I know that sounds funny, right? And then I remember I looked up, and I said, I wrote a book, Mom. And I started crying. And that moment is, like, more poignant to me than even holding the book in my hand, than even hearing my publisher say how many I sold or whatever. Because I did a good sale on my first book from a boutique publishing house. And I mean, I sold more than some people do, just out of a regular publishing, you know, like a traditional publishing house. Which a lot of people have asked me lately about my next book. I don't know when my next book is going to get done. I have no idea. I'm not rushing the process. But that is getting combined with the resale. So the reason you can't get my book right now on Amazon and Audible and places anymore is because it's going to a new publisher. And so it's a long story of my next piece, and all of that stuff that I haven't really said a whole lot about over here yet. But there is another book coming out, and when it comes out, my first book will be re-released. So that's exciting. And I'm actually like simultaneously working on the memoir and the fiction piece at the same time, but I'm not writing a whole lot right now. I'm just not. And that's part of the problem. So the timing of my books coming out is entirely up to me. Like, it'll make more sense down the road when I come out and talk more about it. But I feel so creative in so many different ways, but I also feel relaxed. Like with that book, I felt so rushed, and I don't want to be rushed. And so I'm just kind of taking my time, which has been nice. So yeah, anyway, I don't know. Somebody asked, I think it was in the live stream today even, they said, when's your next book coming out? I really don't have any idea. I'd like to say maybe the tail end of 2020, but you know, I'm working with a traditional publisher, and it's a longer process than that, you know, than what I did before, and I don't really know the process, and it has a lot to do with like working with a literary agent and the publisher. It's a long process that I don't really understand the whole situation, but it's not going to really matter anyway if I don't have something finished and completed. So, you know, I mean, it could be 5 years. So yeah, so that's where we're at with that. And but I don't want it to be that long. I really wish what I would get is like a really creative spurt, you know, where I would just like sit down every day and write for 2 or 3 hours. And I kind of thought I was going into that, but I just haven't, you know. I just have been really, you know, it's interesting because I haven't told like on here, like, you know, for so long I would tell like old stories of things that had happened to me, you know, like when I was growing up and whatever. Well, that's my memoir that I'm writing, a lot of that. And the other thing that happened was in the middle of me writing it, it changed, like the direction of what I'm doing with it changed. And, but like, I'm not really, if you've noticed on my vlog, I haven't been telling like a lot of old stories recently. I haven't been like, oh, and this happened and this. I mean, I have, but not as much as I used to. And I think I'm not like in the storytelling mood right now to talk about that stuff. And I don't know, I think I need to take some time to just enjoy my life and not always go, 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 go. And I want to enjoy the writing process instead of forcing the writing process. So that's where we're at with that. But there will be another book. I just don't know when that will happen. So everything's kind of just on hold right now. I'm like awake. Like I didn't feel, I was like, when I left Tanya's, I was kind of tired, but now I'm like awake. I will tell you what I'm very driven doing this year though is reading. I'm like loving reading, listening to audiobooks. And Lauren tonight in the book stream, she said, the book club, she said that she listens to all of her books on Audible too. I get so many people that comment on my videos on a regular basis, and they're like, you know that you can download the books to listen to on the library app. But okay, here's the thing, is with the library app, like, I don't really purchase that many books anymore. I mean, rarely, if ever. And so with the library app, you have to, like, okay, so if the book isn't available, you have to request it and be put on a waiting list. I mean, it's just like checking a book out at the library. So if it's a new book, you might wait 6 to 10 weeks, if not longer, for it. And then you only get it for like 2 weeks. So if you don't finish the book, I think it's 2 weeks. So it's like, those apps are called like Libby, and I can't remember what the other one is called, but if you don't get it done within 2 to 3 weeks or whenever you have it, like, they return it. Like, you return it to the library and then you have to check it out again. I know I spend way too much money on Audible, but it's really the only thing that I do spend money on, except for food. So, I kind of actually vlogged longer tonight than I thought I would. I thought I would probably only vlog for like 40 minutes or something, because I really want to listen to a little bit of my audiobook before I go to bed. So I think that it is so foggy outside. I have like my heat on my windshield and it's not like defogging. I need to clean my windshield again. I was just talking about those Mrs. June's things the other day. I used something different. I have those, but I used something as well that I bought. I gave Tanya one of my Mrs. June sheets, and I wish I hadn't. If you guys don't, it's not Mrs. June's, it's June's Miracle Cloths. They're on my Amazon store. Anyway, I think I'm gonna get off here now and listen to my audiobook. So I hope you guys are having an amazing Monday, unless you have other plans. But like I always say, don't have other plans. Make the most of your day. Do something fun today. Do something exciting. Do something that when you look back on 5, 10, 1 year down the road, that you'll be years down the road, that you'll be really proud of yourself for doing. And yeah, and if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day and you do your daily affirmations, and whatever they may be, whatever you need to hear, and you say, I love you, you are valuable, you are important, you matter, you are worthy, you are beautiful, you are handsome. Today is going to be an amazing day. You're going to get a lot accomplished today, but you're also going to enjoy today and have fun and laugh. And today is going to be your day. Today is going to be a great day, and 2020 is going to be your year. It's going to be the best year of your life ever. And most importantly, make sure that you pass it on to somebody else and let them know how much they mean to you today. Pick a few people out, maybe not just one today, and let them know how important they are to you. And write a little note and put it in your kid's lunch. My mom used to always do that for me. And practice random acts of kindness. And thank you guys so much for watching my video. If you haven't already, please give it a big thumbs up. And I love you, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Love ya. Love ya, love ya, love ya. Love ya.